Hey everybody, I'm Cinnamon Cooney, your art Sherpa, and today we're going to be painting a 4-panel canvas of the seasons. Many of you are either in dead summer or dead winter, depending on where you are in the globe, and probably wishing for another season than what you're currently in. So whether you're in heat or ice cold snow, one of these panels is going to appeal to you and give you some visual relief from your current weather conditions. On the mic is my husband John.
Hey guys.
He's going to be tracking me with cameras and making sure you see the palette mixes, you see every brush stroke, so that as I'm explaining, as I'm showing you how you, at home, you can paint these, you see everything you need to as a student to be able to duplicate these for yourself. Um, One of the questions I've been getting is how difficult is today's painting? And I'm going to be using all the strategies that we use on the channel to make this more accessible for beginners. So we'll be using sponges if need be. We'll use some Q-tips. We're going to make sure that everything that we do is as easy as possible, whether it be fan or whatever, as we go along. So hopefully that's going to make this as accessible for every single person that wants to do it as is possible online. That's the goal. Let's talk about the material. So I have 4 by 12 canvases. What I would say is that you could do a 20 by 12 and divide it into 4. You could resize these. These are pretty economical and easy to get and often on sale because unusual sizes tend to get on clearance. You could do them on paper, so it's not something you have to be intrinsically married to, but it will look really, really, really nice. So I highly recommend this format. If you're doing it with your friends, you could each take a different season as a group painting. I have some wishes here. I have a wish that this is a big one for me, that the life-saving EpiPen becomes affordable to everyone that needs it. I don't think this is a medicine that should be this expensive, and it is my wish in my lifetime to see this come down so that nobody is ever without an EpiPen that needs that. Another one that we have in this panel, which is so that was our spring, our summer is going to be an end to bullies. So an end to feeling like, you've got to be mean to somebody to build yourself up, or an end to kids going to school and feeling terrorized in that experience. I don't think that should happen anymore. We have also, especially coming up on the holidays, any families or friends that are separated by conflict, we're wishing that your conflicts are resolved and you're able to come together and repair all that damage. And then finally, if you're out there and you're looking for a good sign from the universe, we hope that you get that. Because again, going into holiday season can be really challenging. And so if you're just looking for a sign to just feel better or hold on, I hope that you get that today. So those are the wishes. Let's look at the paint colors. I have phthalo green, Mars black, burnt sienna. I've got a couple fluid tubes, titanium white, yellow ochre, phthalo blue, dioxazine purple, quinacridone magenta, cad yellow medium, cad red medium, and titanium white. All of the materials are in, how I like to hide them in the description? That's where I hid them. And it's also hidden on the web page. If you go to the web page, they're also hidden in the description of the web page. If ever you need to know the materials, the brushes, those things, check the website. That's probably the easiest to find the materials list. If you can't, make sure you open up that description and get all of the materials that you have. I'm going to move some of this out of my way creatively so that I can begin what is an acrylic ground. Now, when we're talking about an acrylic ground, what we're basically saying is we're going to paint in a field of color that lets me build the whole painting up. It's a good way for you as a beginner to achieve even better results in your painting because they'll look very finished. Now, I have out currently for the backgrounds a phthalo. Huh? Hi? What?
No, no, that's I just realized I couldn't do.
Okay, let's do this. What's
Oh,
this?
you have a solution. Okay.
So helpful. All right. So we have phthalo green, phthalo blue, burnt sienna, a little bit of Mars black, and titanium white. I expect to be using more white. In most paintings, expect to be using about twice as much white as you will any other color.
Okay.
And that's just an interesting thing. And then I also tend to go through my blues really well. And for my first background, I'm going to need a really dark green. So that's the first basic background that I'm going to do. So I'm going to pull a little of my green out with my diamond-headed palette artist knife, and I'm going to get a little of my brown into it, and this is going to start giving me a nice dark green. See how we're going with the dark, dark green? Oh, that looks good. So that first panel, we're gonna paint a dark green. I'm gonna get, where are my big brushes? There's one. Here's a short handled big brush. This is a number 30 Ruby Satin. I'm gonna go ahead and dip this in water, drag off the extra, load this up, load it up on both sides, load, 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 load. And I'm gonna paint my first panel all with this green. It can be streaky because there's gonna be a second, move this out of the way, second coat to this. And if you want, you can paint around the canvas edges. If you guys are wondering, can you do that to give yourself an alternative in framing or finishing artwork? You absolutely can, though if you're going to go ahead and do that, maybe consider investing in the very thick canvases where their stretcher bars are super thick.
Ah, now sometimes that's called like gallery wrap.
Yeah, well, all these are gallery wrap. Gallery wrap means that they're stapled on the back instead of on the sides, but pretty much that's how all canvases are done now. And I don't know I'm going to be so fussy as to worry about this on the show being painted around the sides. I'm just demoing that you can. The big trick, the one that always gets my mom, is not painting the bottom. You can't believe how many canvases have unpainted bottom. And my mom will give you a painting. She'll be like, just finish the bottom. You're an artist. It's good, right?
No, I remember in art history, right? I remember them talking about like triptychs.
Yes.
Right? So is this kind of like that?
This is like that. This is very much like that. And it's kind of fun to do this. You can do all kinds of arrangements that can make your art experience a lot more fun. Let's get the next one in. So this one is actually, it's going to have kind of a background of two colors. I need sort of like maybe a sky and stuff. So I think since the majority of my color is yellow, I may actually, no, I'm going to go with my first instinct. Okay. Sometimes you get into a creative project and you look at it and you're like, was the direction I was initially thinking the good one? And then you get to thinking about it and you're like, yes. So now I'm going to take my phthalo blue and my phthalo green. I'm going to mix them together. If you've been painting with me for a while, you know that this is going to make a turquoise, a phthalo turquoise. You can buy phthalo turquoise pre-made if you don't enjoy color mixing. Almost all of these colors can be purchased. And I'm going to just take a little bit of this, as you can see, over to my white, and it makes this very beautiful summer aqua sky. So that's a fun one to do. And I'm going to paint this all with that summer aqua sky.
That is a pretty color.
Yeah. Just a gorgeous color. Isn't that beautiful? And that's just, it calls to summer because of the large amount of white. It covers really easily because white has so much pigment in it, especially the titanium white. It's a very loaded. So, again, I'm not going to worry too much about painting the sides. If you're doing this at home, I think that's a nice touch. You don't have the same, like, live streaming constraints that I might have. You won't find that necessarily as restricting. Now, I'm going to do an interesting thing on the fall canvas. And the reason I'm going to do that on the fall canvas is that color theory gives me a couple little advantages. I have a lot of red and orange in my fall canvas. And if you think of complements, green is often the complement of reds and oranges. Now, I have a sky, so how do I play with that a little bit? Well, one of the things that I can do is create a slight green cast to this light sky, and that will imply a little bit of that to the painting. And how I'm going to do that is I'm going to make one of my very favorite sky grays, which is I'll take out a little of the phthalo blue and some of my burnt sienna. Now, when burnt sienna is mixed with phthalo blue, it can gray it a little bit because the red, the orange in there, right? Contrast. But it also gives a minor green cast to what's happening. This is going to give us a gorgeous winter effect, and it's going to be very light. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my number 30 brush, I'm going to get it wet, and I'm going to load with water. See how I'm doing? Where I'm loading with the water and getting all that paint loaded into the brush. I pull it out and I flip it And that really pulls it all into the belly of the brush. I'm going to just find, there we go, I just need a little more brown to it. That brown-green color right there. See where we are? But I want it lighter than what that is. So I'm going to just grab my white. And it's just a slightly green, slightly different sky than the one next to it in summer. And it's very, very light.
Mm.
See how light that is?
Oh, yeah.
So that's going to be really nice because they'll feel a little bit different. And there'll be that slight perception of those oranges really popping off of that just a little bit in a way that's really going to surprise you. Now the last color I'm going to do is I'm going to get a little black onto my brush. And you'll notice I haven't even rinsed it. I'm just getting that because we need a very light gray background for the last one. This is like a whole like slam class on like how to do seasons, right?
Now I've been trying to hold back on asking too many questions.
Well, at the end of this one, I'm going to take a breath and have a sip of my coffee. So like let's get some questions like as soon as I got this last gray one pointed in.
Yeah.
You can see I'm adding a little bit. I didn't really rinse out my brush, but I'm getting a little bit of black on there, and I want a very, 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 very light gray. And you can see that that's super light.
Oh, yeah.
So it's almost as light as the one next to it, but it's just got more of a gray cast.
Oh, it does, yeah.
And that's okay, because it's winter, and it would have one of those. That is super fun.
And if I can stay in focus, it won't be a hazy shade of winter.
Around.
Got to focus.
So you can see I'm just creating a nice little field that everything is going to go on. And that gives me the 4 backgrounds, which you can see are different to each other.
They are?
To the paintings.
I'm
going to sip my coffee and set my mental state for the next stage. Allow you guys to catch up because this probably seemed like it went through so fast. You're probably like, wait, what?
Kung Fu Sherpa.
I feel like I can do that speedy type of painting sometimes online because I know you have a pause button.
And you just were like, 4 backgrounds, 12 minutes, go. I don't know how that was just some Sherpa throwdown. So I'll ask you some questions real quick.
Okay. Well, it could have taken 20 if I decided to paint the edges, which would have been a more finished thing to do, and I highly recommend it.
They were heckling you, saying you had to finish your green one edges, but we'll go back. So over here, what palette are you using there?
Oh my gosh, I love this. This is the New Wave Timber palette. So these come in, they're different than some other ones. I am not sponsored. I just really dig these, and here's why. It's glued on 3 sides. So it's much less likely to wrinkle and warp on me. They're a peel and throw away palette. They make a really good glass palette. If you haven't seen us trying to explain to you why using sheet glass is dangerous and that timber glass is safe for that video, you've got to see that video because we're trying to be so informative and then we fail at breaking the other palette. We wanted to show you the breaks of both, but we couldn't get the second one broken.
It was good YouTubery.
It was good YouTubery, and it's also informative on safety. So I really like this company. I bought this at Texas Art Supply.
Okay. And so how do you choose the color for your undercoat?
Well, when I looked at these, I really was like, what is this background that I'm working with, right? What's my most distant color that I could be dealing with? The one with the grass on it, I could have like put a little gold in there, but I realized I'm going to blend this with like a sponge and put some distant kind of like little effect on there. But the other two, it was really clear that it needed to be these light skies. And then by using a slight implied color contrast, I can maybe pop the paintings a little bit more. Think happy thoughts that we can do that. Because like that's going to be a thing. Like, and you know, it's like we're going to be using this for snow. I'm going to sip my coffee. Do we have any other questions?
Coffee. Oh, let's see. There was a...
I'm going to be putting out my palette. If you can give me my palette cam so I can see where I have visibility.
Could you talk about...
Where's the other one?
I can shrink you.
Okay. Yeah, shrink me. I'm not important.
You are
Paint's important. I'm not that important.
They want to talk to you, so I'll move the overlay.
Okay.
So...
I feel like that important at all.
There was a good question that I just saw come by. Oh, how do you... being a beginner, how do you select a good acrylic brush?
So I have a bunch of videos all over about brushes with acrylic, and what I would highly suggest is that you watch my brush videos. I have something called the Big Art Quest. We talk about that a lot. If you're on Facebook, I have something called Technique Tuesday. A good acrylic brush should have solid parts. It should be seated. It should be firm enough to move the type of paint that you're painting. So if you're painting heavy body paint, you want it to have a firm filament. I prefer synthetic over natural. If I only had one choice, and then I like to add in some natural hairs and fibers later, but first you should get the synthetic. But I have tons of videos, and I'm sure the mod somebody will drop a link to any of the multitude of brush videos that I have.
I'll tell you what.
Playlists and.
I'll plug our website.
Mm-hmm.
What you can do is if you just go to our website,
oh, that's good.
click on videos, and you can search for anything there.
I still need the thing. I gotta see where I am out of
any of these subjects. So you can find like brushes, canvas, undercoat, gesso, cleaning. I'll drop a quick link here for you guys so you can find that search.
I have ample room on my palette. It's just the pictures that cause me to be squished.
Sorry. We can remove pictures though. We can depicture you.
For me, maybe take me out because I'm not that important. Just so we can see all the mixes, I got to make sure I have enough brown out. We just want to make sure I can see all the mixes as I'm going. Otherwise, we will be so lost in the painting. And then I have, I put some quinacridone, but I think I'm only going to be using it in this petal. So I'm not going to worry too much about putting it out. Well, once it's out, then I'll know. Where can I stick it? Where can I stick my paint? I don't have my mister today, so it's dry. I'm going to be really feeling it. Now, I'm going to really quick hit these with a hairdryer because I want all the next layer, the sponging layer, to go on over dry paint. And so I just want to make sure that these are cured and dried. And Don will tell you some interesting fun facts about drying your art.
Oh, there it goes. Yeah, when you're drawing your art, definitely use the lowest heat settings because high heat can introduce color shift or cracking, especially on student paints. On your pro paints, it doesn't quite do that so much, but you can still run into problems, so it's best to use no heat. It's just better. So, and it's the air moving that really actually helps curing it anyway. So just run it on the lowest heat, and that'll do yourself a lot of favors there. Thank you guys for coming and hanging out. There you guys. You're back already. You're very, very back.
Now, I'm going to be doing some sponging, and I have some real cadmium pigments out here. I probably won't sponge those, not because I ever have a reaction to it. I don't, and cadmium is not absorbable through your skin, according to all the paint companies and safety data sheets out there about it, especially Artist Cadmium, which is coated. I don't do it just because sometimes you at home will copy everything I do, and you might have an allergy. So I would not want to encourage you to discover that allergy. If you're ever worried about it, you can switch to Pyrrol, you can switch to Naphthol, you can switch to Hansa. There's other color versions. And remember, whenever it says hue, it doesn't actually have any of the pigment. No matter what it is, it just would. I'm going to use a round cellulose sponge. I'm going to dip it in water and squeeze it out. So you can see I got a little bowl of water here. And I just squeeze it out super tight. I just want it damp, but not soaking. I don't want it dripping. And I'm going to just sponge in this very blended background. Now, one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my yellow ochre and a little bit of my green. Sponge them together, as you can see, right here. And I might even grab, it's interesting to paint with a sponge because you can color mix and all the stuff that you do. Right, so I'm adding a little brown to that. And then I'm going to go through pretty quickly because I just want some soft background. See, I'm making little circular motions.
Oh, yeah.
So here I am just pushing this out. I'm not going to be particularly precious about it. I'm getting some of my green, maybe a little more of my brown into this. I'm not going to be precious because I really need this to be a very indistinct background. My pressure, if you'll notice, is super light. Super light pressure.
Super light pressure.
Super light. And I'm just creating that second coat. That's so nice. I can even get a little of the black into the green. That's going to give me some of that darker color that we have a couple places. See how we're doing? And then I'm going to put a little bit of that, a little black, get a little blue, get a little green, making that dark, deep value that we might have down here. But again, without a focus. So this is one of those beginner things that we're doing where we're taking this sponge and letting its softness help you create a very soft focus. You're going to want to have a little light area here. You want it dark here, and you can see that the underpainting really helps it. Now I'm going to just take the paint out of my sponge a bit.
Oh, you're over off the screen there.
Yeah, I'm squeezing it out of my sponge. See, I'm just getting the paint out of my sponge. And I'm going to come and get a little bit of my burnt sienna and my yellow ochre. And I'm going to come here and I'm going to just use this. And you can see it's just, again, very light circles, right? I'm going to make a background for this week. If I want, I can get into the magenta to help accentuate the sort of orange rust that we've got going on down here. You could also use the cad red if you were feeling like, oh, that would be a deeper, better color. You can see I'm getting it darker. Again, it's just soft little circles that we might have. A little bit of the yellow ochre and the white up here, just to make sure that this part up in the sunlight, you can see I'm just very lightly pulling it up. That's another space where we've used the sponge to help us really make our background be more effective. Now, the other two paintings, I wouldn't employ this technique. Maybe this one would be a good one to do it, where I could do a black and green and use a different sponge to create a background tree.
You're going to go multi-sponge?
I'm going to go multi-sponge. Well, those are looking really good already, aren't they?
There really is.
It's really fun stuff. I'm going to rinse this out. Oh, my hand gets so messy on these. So another type of sponge that you can use is a cellulose kitchen sponge. So here these are. I'm going to use, and you can cut them into little bits like I've done here. Pretty good tool, actually, for it to be cut into little bits like I've done here. I love that. All right, so I'm going to take a little bit of my black and my green together. So I'm going to make this black and green color. And it's got a little bit of white in it, not too much, because it's a background color. So it's sort of like this gray-green. And what I'm going to do, I think, is I'm going to move this out of the way for a second. I'll center this here. And I'm going to lightly sketch in with my sponge just a little bit of information. So about the third down, if you break this up into thirds, I'm going to make a little distant line that's going to be a little landscape line. See how I'm just sort of sketching back and forth with my little sponge? Now, I can come up and make a little tree line that's in the distance that you might have. And I'm going to just scratch up and down. Can you guys see how I'm doing that?
Oh, yeah.
Making this soft and distant little tree line, scratching up and down. Because artists, just making sure it's good, sometimes we get it into our heads that things have to be built a certain way. We forget that there's a lot of methods that can allow us to get some really amazing results that are enjoyable to us. A little more black into that. And here we're doing the distant trees. And maybe they're a little thicker down here, but they're very light. I press very lightly up here because they're a little out of focus. And not my main primary little focus in this world. A little more black. And I can even then do my sponge up and down in the tapping motion. Grab some yellow ochre by accident, but I'll just blend that in. Not going to hurt anything. So down low, I'm tapping in some heavier color. And that lets that sort of be a faded, distant, sort of out of focus tree that's maybe back in the fog. We are whipping through. How you feeling?
I like them. I like all of them.
Are you?
Yeah. It almost, yeah, I'm with Cindy. That almost looks like charcoal.
It does. It has that just gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous feeling. Now, something I want to do here, but I'm worried about showing you doing it with your hands and a sponge. The easiest way for you to get it is with a sponge.
Do you need gloves?
Yeah.
What
Or you guys need to know that you need to wear gloves. Maybe I need gloves.
I can get some. Hold
Can
on.
you? I'm going to wear gloves. This is because, again, I think it's important as art teachers that we, especially with beginning students, remind them that while acrylic paint is in general non-toxic, as is watercolors, as are oils, all paint materials, pastels, pencils, anything out there has the potential of being toxic because some pigments, cobalt, lead, alizarin used to be, certain pigments could be dangerous. Now there are a lot of substitutions, like either formulas are lost and there's only hue, or paint companies have decided that for the safety of artists, they might switch to hue. Like one of the things you'll notice with golden paint is they won't put cadmium in a sprayable format because that's when cadmium could become dangerous, is if you burn it or aerosolize it in some way. It really isn't dangerous to your skin, but I do recognize that people can have allergies, which you can have to shampoo or just anything in your life. So sometimes I take a weird bit of extra safety, not because I'm particularly stressed for you guys, but just because I think it's just safe to give you that example. I'm going to just tap and sponge out a little background here, kind of coming up just to build the basis for the distant world. Got a little of my purple and my cadmium red, like you do. And I've just got it on my little square sponge. And I'm going to just use this to talk about some of the distant purple that we might have here. And you can see I'm using very light pressure. And I'm moving this object around to make sure that I'm not making too much of hard edges. I don't want like little squares because nature is not little squares. A little more red than that. I'm just trying to create that sense of texture that these trunks might start to exist on, if that makes sense. Stamping those here. Right. Now, hopefully you're looking all around your house at all the stuff that you just have around going, what makes marks? Have you played with simple items that you have in your house and ask yourself, what kind of mark does my kitchen scrubby make? What kind of mark does folded up saran wrap make? These are good things to sort of think about. Red a little bit, mix the dioxide out, does a nice job. Because again, we're just building just a little bit of a background that the trees can be on so that the foliage feels. And I might press on this outer edge a little harder, as you see. I'll do things to soften that up there so we don't have hard lines. Pulling a little more of that there, lifting up, and again pressing pretty hard down low because we would want that foliage to be thicker and harder to see through. How's that going for you guys? So now we've got those bases, that next step of those four. Before I hit the next layer, take a couple questions, see how you guys are doing. Are you feeling inventive about, oh, this is nice with the gloves. I feel much less like I drink my coffee with the other one. Any questions?
Yeah. So, the one they were asking, they noticed you're wearing a lapel mic and not your boom mic.
I lost my mic at the dinner show.
Yeah. So we're
Another one. Is the sound bad?
no, it's just different.
Okay. Yeah.
Just, it's
We
just different.
lost it. We didn't want to cancel the show because we lost the mic. We didn't know till we unpacked and we got in really late. So we had to order another one, which is, you know, never fun, but got to do it.
Yep.
Work. So that's what's happening with sound.
So that's what's happening with sound. Now, they were wondering, okay, where did it go? I just had two really good questions that just scrolled by. Okay. The bling that you're wearing, who was that by?
Betsy Johnson.
Okay.
Betsy Johnson.
And the
I do not hide it. I'll tell you.
Okay.
While you're looking for that, let me
I'm
go
just
over
trying-
the palette again real quick. So just in case you're coming in, what we have out, we have cadmium yellow, cadmium red, diox purple, quinacridone magenta, burnt sienna, Mars black, phthalo blue, phthalo green, and titanium white, and a little yellow ochre over here. We've mixed a couple different colors. We mixed some phthalo turquoise. We mixed a kind of gray sky using phthalo and burnt sienna. And we've been making backgrounds with the burnt sienna and the phthalo green, just to catch you up on where we're at.
Yes. Now, what is
the journey so far?
What is the hoot level?
I'm trying to keep this at a 2 hoot.
2 hoot.
I'm going to try to keep this at a 2 hoot. As you guys know, you can go to the website and have a different hoot opinion than me and say, no, it was easier or harder, depending on your experience. We do that so that you can be part of the process of new students coming in and let them know what your journey was so they can help inform their expectations in their journey. Because sometimes when I say something is easy and somebody has a hard time with it, which can happen anytime for anybody, and makes them feel like, oh, well, there's something up with them that made it harder, when in fact, sometimes, even though techniques might themselves be easy, they may still take practice. You may still have to take a couple passes at it, but they're not so demanding that with intention and determination and persistence, you couldn't learn it. Like roses. The new methods are easier, but you still have to practice them. All right. We're sponging. You still got to practice it, right?
Yeah.
To get these fuzzy background trees. Oh, says Kirk. Okay. So. Oh, I'm having fun. Are you having fun? I'm having fun.
I'm trying to balance out the audio. I was making sure it's all as best it could.
Oh, is it all not good?
Well, you know,
I'm sorry.
I'm always trying to do my best to make it better.
I know you are, and I'm sorry that anything is missing. I apologize.
Oh no, it's not your fault. I misplaced a little zippered case that had the boom mic.
Could be. It's hard to say. I mean, because I'm the one wearing it, so you know.
No, in this case, this was actually me.
I'm putting out a little more green, and I'll probably put out a little more brown, just for the next things to have those values. I'm pretty happy with the rest of my paint. Well, I could put out some more black. That's out there. The amounts. Sometimes you have to sort of think about it and be like, do I have enough for the next thing? And I'm grabbing a number 10 Cambridge, but I may be changing my mind about it because I'm looking at it like, what is the easiest path to get this in? Maybe move this down. So this is a number 8, and this is a Cambridge. Now, like we talked about earlier, you want a synthetic brush if you're just never painted before. You want to start with synthetics. But as you're going, you may want brushes that give you different effects. And one of my very favorite bristle brushes, this is not vegan because it does employ hog bristles, but one of my very favorite bristle brushes is the Cambridge because it mixes synthetic filaments with the natural. And so whenever you're looking at a natural brush, make sure that there's a mix if you're doing heavy-bodied acrylic paint. Not important if you're doing oils, but definitely important if you're doing heavy-body acrylic paint. I'm going to put in some loose, crazy little backgrounds to talk about the flowers, and then we'll paint just a couple in focus and our little buzzy bee. Sound good?
Sounds very good.
Sounds very good to me, too. All right, so I'm going to get some green on here, and I think I will just tone that with a little bit of brown, and I'm going to make a bunch of background marks that are... They're going to kind of blend in, but they're going to create some hard edges. And you can see I'm just sort of stroking up these little commas. I'm on the tip of the bristles, and I'm just making these random, look, these are just really loose strokes. They're not genius strokes. They're just regular brush strokes. You can make these too. So some of these might curve to the right. Look, these are going to curve to the left. I'm bringing them heavier as I come down, just pulling the brush across and just letting the random amounts of paint come out. All right. There we go. Enjoying that. Now I'm going to rinse that out, because I also have this sort of interesting off-white effect that's happening. So I'm going to take a little of my yellow ochre and my white, and I'm going to come in here and also work some of this. And I might even get a little more, maybe a little burnt sienna into it, just to tone it. We want this to the background. So it's got this yellow, and you can see I'm just pushing this here. Some of it's blending in. I'll come up this edge here. Maybe make a couple of distant little spots. See how I'm just wiggling the brush, making these little shapes. Little soft shapes. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. You can hear the scratch, but you kind of know the motion of the loose little feeling that we've got going here. And I will continue to move this down. The green's picking up, but I'm just going with that because it'll just add to the painting. Now I can just put a little bit of light value right here. You got to get back into this. You get back into that with the brown. Okay that I have green. I'm just talking about these distant little spots of out of focus white flower. Just, play with that in your mind as that's moving forward. Look at that. So now we're getting that kind of basis for what's going to be those really defined flowers in Mr. Fuzzy Buzzy Bumblebee. Mr. Fuzzy Buzzy Bumblebee, whom I like very much. While I'm letting this dry, I can move forward and create some of the very distant background that I've got going on. So I can take a little of my burnt sienna and my red here, and I can even get a little of my yellow ochre into it and make this sort of distant grass orange color. You can see how that's nice and orange. And I'm going to just stroke up. See how I'm making it random? These are longer strokes, but they're still curving.
Yeah.
So sometimes I curve this direction, sometimes I'm curving that direction. So like on this side, I'm more likely to maybe curve predominantly towards the right. And then on that side, I might curve predominantly towards the left. That's really a little artifice of me trying to keep people, very much on the page. I'm going to add a little more brown to that. Let's get a little black into that mix and add some dark values down here. So a little black and a little red. Very interesting little touch, because we're making these, see that's the deep value. Look at that, it's like a brick red. We're adding in our grass, scruffling that up in front and making sure that there's lots of values, right, to this little canvas. And can you hear the scruffling back and forth? That's important stuff. If I need to, I grab a little bit of my cad yellow onto the brush, and maybe I add a bit of that into the background. See? Sort of brighter yellow. And rinse out. Now up here it gets a lot brighter. And so I'm going to get a little of my yellow and my yellow ochre. So my cad yellow and my yellow ochre in a mix together. I'll grab some white. And I think up here I'm going to just also scruffle this up. Look, we're doing this wiggle back and forth. I'm coloring around these shapes. I'm making sure that I am not being too pattern oriented. Like I'm going to color into the grass here. See how I'm doing? I'm going to color into that grass. I'll pick up some more paint. I know I'm really going fast, guys. I'm pulling, I
This
have
is
a lighter value here, so I'll just go ahead and add that next lighter value to everything. And you can add some pops of this lighter value, you know, through the out of focus background because it's there, right? A little more yellow. Talking about these out of focus little spots in the grass. So we're getting those. Looks pretty cool. Woohoo!
you're dinging away.
I know, it's like a fun thing. We need some trunks. We need the first of the trees in the background, right? So let's get a round brush. Let's get a number 4 round. This is a number 4 round from my particular brush line, but what you want is a brush that about a number 4 diameter, about this big, you can see in relationship to my finger, that has a decent point. And I'm going to take my purple and a little of my black, but mostly my purple, like it's purple and black, because I want it to read slightly obviously purple, even though it feels kind of black. And I'm going to stroke from the bottom the distant little trunks that I could be seeing. Maybe I make little, see these little branches that come out?
Mm-hmm.
These wiggly little distant bits. It could be happening here. Maybe there's a little thin one here. This will build by layers. You want to just show this background fauna. I'm pressing so lightly and it's letting my paint really come off my brush quite well. And I'll take some trees, you know, some different directions. I just want to create that sense that there's a distant little set of trees.
Distant trees. I think that's done.
That's done?
I mean,
you like distant trees? You like the distant trees.
the distant trees.
Well,
No,
and we've got some, you know, that are coming up and they're tall. And again, you can see how the black and purple do work together, but you've still got to make the strokes. So some of these have to go all the way through the canvas to the top. You might even on some of these further ones, you know, have some branches that go out. You can bring some in even from this other side. I'm going to take one over here.
Oh, just coming onto the screen.
Yeah,
or
talk
the
about those a little
canvas
bit. Sort of
surface.
fun. Make sure that that branch is a little thicker coming off and then gets thinner as it comes out. I like to just weave these around. Lots of little crazy branches. We'll make sure that there's tons and tons of little foliage. Just pulling this through. Just bringing a nice little trunk across. We're just talking about lots of different little bits. So if you're trying to show that this is a very busy forest, this kind of work can really help. And you can see I'm making the little light branch work, building that up. My very distant trunks, I won't highlight with any pink or any colors, but the ones as they come forward, we're definitely going to highlight. So what I'm trying to do there is get enough paint to really paint different trunks coming up. And if I need to, I'm going to get more water. I think I'm going to need fresh water pretty soon because I'm doing so many paintings, my water gets dirty very quickly. I'm dipping in the water and I'm swirling around, dipping and swirling around. That's getting me about 2 drops per addition to help improve the flow of the paint.
Let me see if I can get you some fresh water.
That would be amazing. I should have brought out four jars for this particular painting.
I'll get you some here.
And just adding these little trunks as they come up, just trying to create this visual very busy background that's happening, you know, here. Making some thicker. Like that might be a thicker like tree right here. Going. Yeah, cool. So every time you see me go off, I'm just getting a little more paint. Yes, you come back with all the water. Now while I have all this, I'm going to get my magenta. John's going to show. And I've got all new water. So I'm going to get my magenta and I'm going to get that into my purple mix. And I'm going to put a little white into it. So it's going to give me a glow. Can you guys see the glow?
A glow.
And the front of all of these, I want even more white into that. I want it to really show. Has like this little glow coming up. So take some of your trunks. Like I skipped that one because I imagine the other one's like going in front of it. A little more magenta onto that. And add a little magenta glow to some. As we layer them coming forward, you can see that I'm just building in that basis of what's happening out here. Making sure I'm catching a little highlight. And you can see it's like, it's starting to happen. It's starting to pull together, you know, those little elements that, you know, you would want. Now I'm going to put in some snow here, and I'm going to add some little distant bushes and then start pulling a tree trunk. One of the things that I realize about the snow that's right here is it's not going to have that usual aqua color I do. It's going to be a kind of blue-black if I can get it. There's a lot of purple in there. I just want a more neutral snow color. So I'm using my blue and my black. And I'm going to just come across here and loosely brush this value kind of through here. And you can see it starts to imply snow, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Now, while that's having a little bit of a rest, like it wants to, I'll go ahead and get my burnt sienna, maybe a little bit of the black. Because I want to make some distant dried up bushes. Grabbing yellow ochre, I'm working that in. This like little bush here, all the little trunks are kind of coming out. Grab some more of the little brown. I don't want to. Maybe there's a little brush here. It's just feeling kind of like, oh, got little twiggles. Little twigglies me. It's got little twiggles. These are little fellows that have been in the snow. I'm going to go ahead and just even take this brush and like, I'm wiggling back and forth. I'm going to kind of create a little shape of dried brown leaves. The top of this one. It has a bit of a tree about it. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Little black, little brown. Just pulling that through. Not nice. Maybe a little bit here. So these are just a couple little spots. And then you can get into your snow color right here. You can make sure that there's some dark value wherever you've got a little of that. Get a little more black. A little bit of that snow value. And I'm going to start with a trunk that's predominantly black. I'll add a little brown to it, but I really want it to be predominantly black. I'm dipping my brush, that's 2 drops of water, another 2, just thinning that out. And from about here, I'm going to make a very nice focal trunk that comes up. How is everybody holding on?
Really good. This is a really, really nice. I think that being able to see all 4 scenes come together.
At the same time, it kind of breaks down the construction, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It gives you a little mental rest from one so that you can think about it a bit. Make this a nice little trunk. Make sure it's a weighty enough trunk to feel like it's holding the tree. I'm going to be painting here. And I think I'm going to dip, bring a couple more drips over, like you do. And I'll definitely come across here with some branches. We're gonna work some of these pine branches out. If one is here and kind of broken, we'll let that be. And just filling this in. I'm going back over it. That's letting me fill in that trunk. Keep bringing it up. I'm going to continue, even though a lot of this is going to be covered by the fan brush, I'm going to definitely take some of these out and talk about them individually.
I like how the branches just sort of extend off the edge of the surface there.
Right, as if each season is extending into the other.
Mm-hmm.
Or that's maybe how I saw it. I'm just imposing that vision on you.
Impose away.
Okay. So you can see we're getting that in, and it's feeling like that sort of a winter scene, and it's feeling really good. Hopefully you're feeling good at home.
Mm-hmm.
If you're feeling that stress, because sometimes when we're painting trees, we feel stress, or our visualization of our painting maybe exceeds what our current skills are. So I want you to take a deep breath and release it. And remember to be very forgiving and easy with yourself, especially if you're new to painting. Right now, your only job is to learn the skills and to really look at how you construct a painting in those layers and not be super hypercritical of yourself. Hypercriticism does not fit in art. I'm always surprised when super judgmental people get in art, because I'm like, this is not the space for that, but it takes all kinds, so okay. Why is that funny?
To take all kinds, we must have all kinds.
That's right. And sometimes there are people who come into art and they have very strong. I'm going to bring some branches over from here. I'll be adding more to this layer. Right now I'm just trying to build what might be peeking behind the fan brush.
Peeking?
Peeking.
Like a
Did
Sasquatch?
you want to create branches that...
There could be a Sasquatch in that forest.
There could be. I don't think there is, but there totally and utterly could be.
I know that there's not one because I don't have my Polaroid ready. They only come out when the Polaroids are near.
What? Now, while I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and think about my bench. So my bench is almost kind of in line with my tree here. So I've got a little bit of a bench to there, maybe to there. And it has a little bit of a rebarb up.
So actually,
you guys have a traceable, so if you're not a drawer, don't don't panic. We're just talking about a bench. We're not.
Now, Ashley was asking about this. So, what's the secret to the thin lines? She's got a good brush, she's thinned the paint, but she still just can't. She's not getting
So
it.
there is a video on Facebook all about how to get thin lines. It's in the Technique Tuesday playlist. There's a lot of things that contribute to your thin lines: the quality of your brush, the thinness of your paint, the humidity in your air. There's just a bunch, right? So if you're not getting them, are you experimenting? Are you adding more water? And are you practicing those lines on a practice sheet of paper? Because if you're not practicing them, you're just sort of going to your canvas and hoping it all works out. You're hoping that your mixtures are good. You're hoping that your paint is where it should be, but it may not be. And then you're going to find that out on the canvas, which you're not going to enjoy. But if you take a practice piece of paper and you say, I'm going to practice how I've thinned the paint. I'm going to practice my brush pressure by pressing harder, which thickens my lines, and by pressing lighter, which thins them, So, you're just going to be like trying to troubleshoot yourself wherever you're at. I come across here and I'm going to just start talking about like some slats. Whoop, slat. I'll add some brown to this. At a kind of slightly later date, but right now I'm just trying to get that feeling of a bench in.
You can find those videos by searching the video search function on our website.
Oh, can we now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kim was just saying that all the Facebook videos are also linked into the website.
All right. I'm bringing the support bar up, which is slightly curved. Hopefully I'm going to nail this. If not, again, you have the traceable, so I don't feel offended if you're like, no, I don't like where she's going, and you find your own way. It doesn't stress me out in the least. Because we're each, even though I'm painting and I'm teaching here, I'm still having my day of enjoying my art experience. And I'm wanting to enjoy painting my bench as much as you are wanting to enjoy painting your bench. So in that, we're sort of sharing things. Sure that this curve that I have makes sense and that things are solidified out. Let's pull some beams this way. All right. I'm going to get a little bit of the brown, grab some of the white and make that kind of snow shadow, right? Let's just come under here just real quick. Make sure we're talking a little bit about some snow shadow. And while I'm at that, I'm going to take this brown and black and a smidge of green and white. I'm going to make some of this bark color that's on the inside of this tree. And I'm going to make these little dashes. See how we're doing? These little dashes. But listen, when I'm saying that, you don't have to, like, I love this brush. We designed it to have a good point because it can be hard to find a brush with a good point that has a nice belly, that performs correctly. But there are other brushes in the universe. So this is not like, oh, you have to have my brush to get this result in any way. That's not how art works. Though you do have to have a good quality brush to have an easy time with it. I just saw a guy, though, paint like incredibly fine lines with his fingernails. So I'm going to just guess and say, for the most part, I'm going to make less of these little light marks as I come up this. I just want them to sort of show here. Maybe I get a little more brown and see I'm working that kind of into the tree, just talking about trunks.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to say bark, 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 bark. These are little dashes. I want the highlight here. I want a shadow back there. I want the tree to have a little bit of shape. Bring a little highlight to that branch, but I really want the tree to have a little bit of shape. Oh my goodness, we're doing so good.
It does look good.
Right? So now I'll move this back over and I'm going to start back over in spring again. What are we going to do in spring? So some of what I've got going on. I think I want to, if you've never seen me do this, then you'll be like, wait, what? But I think it would look very nice to do a little Q-tip dabbing to get some background faded flowers.
You're gonna go rogue.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna use the Q-tip power.
Always, like I said, all of our tricks and strategies. Because you need tricks and strategies. I'm gonna use all this dirty paint to make a nice off-white.
Nice
Because the
off-white.
flowers that are far away will be an off-white. And again, when Q-tipping, it's nice to have fluid paint. It's nice for tree branches. It's nice for making snow, and it's very nice for Q-tipping. So I've got 3 of them bunched together with a rubber band. These are the economic makeup style. And I'm going to just make sure that I have some dabs of these distant little bits of paint. See what we're doing? If you need a little more yellow into it, you just go right into the yellow ochre. Oh no, I need some of these flowers to be more yellow. I'm going to even come here and where I had this sort of out of focus. I'm going to use the Q-tips a little bit here. Because I'm trying to construct the out of focus background. This is a very involved background. Lots of ways to get it done. And where I want these lighter little dots, I just compress lighter. And where I want them heavier, I can just, use more paint and be heavier with it. Okay, I am here. So now that gives us like that next sort of like, ooh, there's some little dots, there's some little focus. Let me dry this real quick.
While she's doing that, I'm going to say, thank you guys for coming and hanging out. There's like, I love having all of my friends come hang out while we're painting and doing this kind of stuff. So we really appreciate it. Thank you guys coming and being part of the crew and painting with us and celebrating art and doing this. So thank you.
I'm going to get a small, scruffy little brush.
Scruffly?
This is a number 2 Cambridge. You can get a number 2 anything bright or a small brush that you have control over. And I'm going to get some of my black just right on here. And I'm going to come here and I'm going to think about my bee. I may exaggerate some elements in my bee. So you're going to see me, I'm going to scruffle a little dome. I'm going to think about the bee on Facebook that was friends with that nice lady. And I'm going to get his basic shape, which is sort of an elongated little oval that's fuzzy, out like this. So we're going to go, oh, that's our bee. That's our focus. He's our focus fellow. And while I have this little brush in my hand, I'll go ahead and make some detailed flowers. So I've got I'm going to take a little of my, let's rinse this out because I don't want any black in it. And it was holding some black. I'm going to take a smidge of my yellow and get it onto my brush. And when I say smidge, I might even wipe off. I'm going to get some of my white paint. So this yellow is going to be warmer and brighter, and maybe other things around it. And I'm going to paint little star flowers a little more in focus. Than where maybe I had them previously. These are slightly more focus flowers. They have a little bit of the yellow in them, so they're not as bright a white as they could be. And I reserve that because I always want to reserve a little bit of my bright white. Maybe I'll put a little focus flower right there. We're going to just take some of these and put them a little more into focus. The most in focus thing, however, is going to be our bee. I can just, oh no, maybe there's like one right here, and it has all these wonderful little petals that are defined and a little bit bigger. So you can see I make this petal kind of rounder and bigger coming towards me. This one's curved up. But I'm not like making really specifically fussy bits. And I'm going to take my green and my yellow together. And I'm going to come in the center. Most of these flowers. Starting with that. A little bit of that green and yellow together. And I might even get some of my green, maybe some of my yellow ochre. Not as bright as my cadmium, but pretty bright. And I'm going to make some defined leaves. Right. This one could be defined over here. Go ahead and let them peek out. They're long sword-shaped leaves. You just want to catch the overall long sword shape. So you want it to be sort of pointed at both ends, and then as you're tapering it down, maybe some of these distant spaces are just a little distant. And then what you can do is you can add a little more yellow into the mix and very easily highlight some of the leaf. If you need a little white, you can get right into it. Have to highlight all of it. Just a little bit of that popped here and there. Now another kind of fun little thing I've got going on is there's this distant kind of rust color. So I'm going to mix my yellow ochre and my burnt sienna. And I'm also going to make some little focuses. And in these little flowers, I might add just a smidge of that rust. That's like about the stamens, right? And I'm just tapping these for like the little stamens. And then we'll add some of these little rusty dots. How are the rusty dots going? Let's take a look at a distance. So sometimes when our paintings are up close, they're a hot mess. And then you get back and you're like, oh, I love it so much. So that's looking pretty good. And what we're going to do to tighten it up, I'm going to get some just white paint. And I'm going to add to some of the petals of some of the flowers. See how I'm doing?
Yeah.
A little bit of just white to show their definition. Not everything about it. I'm going to get a little of my yellow and my green, quite bright together. I'm going to come along here, even down the centers. Playing with these bright pops of color, making little stems. See, little long stems. Looking pretty good. See, now there's this whole like cluster of flowers that are happening. And then, you know, he needs a whole thing here, right? So I really like, I'm going to take a little of my quinacridone and my, no white, I don't want any white, my quinacridone and my cad red. I get a little yellow in here. And I'm going to start this fuzzy little forward face. You know I have a tendency to exaggerate my little buzzy bees.
I like your bees.
That's because I just enjoy them so much. I want to give him a little bit of his back zhuzh. Once he has a little bit of his back zhuzh, I can take my base color and just add it a bit to my yellow. See how I'm doing? So it's not just pure yellow, but it's definitely, it's like an orange yellow. I can come right here. And put a little bit of that right there. See how it gets fuzzy on his back?
Yeah.
He's a little bit fuzzy. See how he's doing? Oh, he's more bee. He's so close. You don't even know how close he is. I'm going to take a little of my black and blue together. Let me get a smidge of my white. I want it to be kind of dark, but I'm going to also make sure that some of him and his little black fur, see the two tones? And you can even, there's a little bit right there at the front. We're almost done with this one. And I'm kind of inclined to dry it and put in the wings because then this one is like done. And then we can do the resolving work on each one as we go down. Are you guys holding up okay?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So while she's doing that, I'll come over and say, yeah, I'm digging the bee, man. The little buzzy bee and the fuzzy, I just like the little flowers. I don't know. I was just kind of wrong button. There you go.
You did the wrong button?
Sound back. I was just over there looking at the little fuzzy bee and the flowers. I really like it.
I like it too. The wings,
Very
I'm going to take a little of my yellow ochre. And then after the wings, we'll talk to everybody. Because I got to reset before I do the next one. And I'm going to bring a little black to it because we don't want the brightest white we ever had. I'm using my number 4 round again. So I'm going to come here. And I'm going to pay very close attention to where these attach so they come on either side right here. Right. And so the first wing comes out. It's got a little kind of scoop in. And then it flares out. And look at how big it is compared to his butt. So make sure you take it out as far as it needs to go. There it comes back in. And then there's a second little inner wing. And I'm going to just very lightly brush that dry brush of that yellow there. Getting a little bit more of it. Do the same thing. So it's scooped in and comes out past the bum-bum. The bumblebee bum-bum. Dry brush in that wing like that. See, I'm paying attention to the shape. The contour, the outer edges of the shape of the wing. I'll get to the little details that will make it feel like a wing, but I have to get some basic little shapes up, including that inner wing. Once that's done, and I've got that sort of basic, oh, it's right there, I'm going to take my black paint, and it might have a little brown in it, but I'm actually going to exaggerate with my black. And I'm going to come on along the outside edge with a very fine line. And I'm going to do some of these little insect veinings. You can even do the edge. Show the inside wing a little bit. See how we're doing the little veinings?
Yeah.
Because we want little veinings if we want it to feel like it's a bumblebee. There it is, and then there's the inside wing. Little loose veinings. When the little loose veinings are done, my suggestion would be to get a little bit of your fluid white paint. If you don't thin your heavy body paint, right? Though hopefully you have this for the splatter for the snow later. And I'm going to load up just a little bit on the tip of my brush. And I'm going to show a smidge of a highlight. A couple of places. See how we do?
Yeah.
These little pops of shine are very important whenever we're doing insects. Because insects actually have quite a lot of shine to them sometimes. And if you can catch that, you can sometimes really capture some of their more delicate qualities. We're about to be done with this. Are you guys freaking out? Let's give ourselves a little drop right there. Let's see how that looks. Can we tell it's a bee in summer?
Oh, yeah. See, I like him up here. You see his little buzzy business. It's very cool.
Right, now you've got a little bit of that happening there. So you've got your out of focus, you've got your in focus. I'm going to sip my coffee. Goodness gracious, we are going. We're nearly done now.
We are. We're cruising right along. Everybody's been really...
We're cruising.
Isabel thinks that is a very realistic looking bee.
Yeah, it's a good little bee. So this we're going to say yay.
We're going to say yay.
And we're going to come here and let's give ourselves a yay here.
A yay.
Right?
Oh, yes, I would say. Let's do some yay.
Okay, so I'm going to take my brown, a little bit of my cad red, and I'm going to work those together. And I'll initially get my black onto this. This is going to be my sort of shadow color of my grass here, in the same way I do a tree. And I'm going to do a couple of things. I'm going to just focus on a few of the pieces. So let's come up. I'm going to break. And then break over. I'm going to bring this down. Every once in a while I have to get like fresh paint. I'm going to make this a bigger joint right here. And I'm going to actually pull down a dried leaf. Now, my leaf, I took up, I went up, and I did a little angle, and I'll show you why I did that later. It's going to help me really have some focus. And I don't necessarily want every single blade of grass. You know, you can have some of these in the background. Right, like there, just loosely. You can see how I'm sketching them loosely, and that makes them seem far away. Just like a light dry brush. Pulling in the zippered kind of look of the grass. See, it's like a little zipper. A little more black, a little more brown, dip in water. We need another focal one right here kind of coming up. And it's going to come forward. Now, for this, I'm going to just press this. Grasses have this very distinctive little seed pod. And if you can capture the seed pod, you can really sometimes capture the feeling of this type of grass. Don't forget, they can have long hairs. Come around. You see those?
Yeah.
I'm going to do another one here. Make sure that I've got a little bit of that coming down. And then we have a spot where we could put one coming in off the canvas. Yeah. And that could be very entertaining. But I want to get this background stuff in before I decide even where to put a focal one in. And I'm going to make another little blade of grass go off here. Once I have that, let's get right into our cad yellow and our yellow ochre. I haven't even rinsed my brush. I'm going to grab some white. And this is going to make quite a bright highlight. And let's put some light dappling here and there along the stem of this. Maybe up here. You could be like, oh, like some of this caught some light. We'll get some water in there. I'm going to make sure that the seed pods here have a little highlight at the top and on the outside a bit. Even with more white, a couple places. And I'm just going to roll out my brush so the paint isn't too thick on it. Just make sure that we've got a little bit of that. So you see that those are popping forward?
Mm-hmm.
Are you guys freaking out yet? I
This
don't know
is
if they're
great.
freaking out. I hope you're freaking out.
I'm freaking out. They think this is looking really great. The highlights are pretty amazing.
So we're doing the same things right here, aren't we? We're putting those highlights up. We'll get some little grasses that have little highlights. And then I'm going to rinse out. Here's the big pop. I'm going to get my cad yellow and a lot of my white. This is not a natural color, but I want this light, light, light value. Because I'm going to pick that third value. Talk about some of these hairs and some of these pods. Not all of it. Maybe like right there. Yeah, it's like a third value. So how are we doing with that? Oh, that looks pretty darn good right there. I am inclined to not do the third one, but it might. See, if it comes right here, it just visually messes this up. So you'd want to move it here or down here. And then you have to ask yourself, is it necessary for the overall telling of the story? I'm going to say, I'm going to mix more of these little very bright highlights. I'm going to say no. I don't think it's going to add compositionally to put in a third pod. I think those two focused are really lovely. So we're going to put that there. How are they doing?
They're great.
So spring, summer. Let's have fun with fall, because fall is like the best, right? Simply the best. The
Simply.
best, the best, sir. So right here, I've got to add just a few more of these little like leaves and things. So since I have this brush, I'm going to go ahead and get my red mixed with my wonderful yellow. It's sometimes nice to have the quinacridone into it. It just creates a glow. You see I'm mixing that value. And I'm going to come here and I'm going to add a couple of these little spots around these branches. It could be posting little leaves. Aren't they great? Just little spots. And then let's grab a fan, or yeah, fan, definitely a fan. I'm gonna get this. You can get the 4 or the 6, either one will work. I'm gonna get a little of my quinacridone and my cad into this, and just a smidge of my purple. I'm going to go ahead and press this in directly straight. You guys seen this? I'm pressing this in directly straight.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm not doing the fan up or the fan down. I'm actually using the edge of the brush to create this shelf. And then where I want to break it up, I twist and turn the fan. Fans do a lot. Sometimes we think of them in terms of one stroke or another stroke, but actually they do a lot. So the purple is always good. The purple, or am I getting into the black? I think I might be getting into the black. You should get into the purple. It's all good. So I'm going to just make sure that these have a little bit of foliage maybe coming out here. Again, pressing this in. And you can always come down here and bring a couple, look, a couple little forward facing. These are light and in the distance. Look at that. We're not even done.
Wow.
Rinse out. And you are going to dry really quickly with your hair dryer.
Then, I don't know. She's so funny today. She's really wanted to get all of these in a way that you guys can see all 4 of them in a single lesson session. So I think that's one of the reasons why she's been very focused on trying to get through the lesson to show you guys all 4 of these in a, like, oops, wrong button. There you go.
There I am.
So I was just saying, you really were really hoping to get all 4 of these in a single lesson path for them.
I am doing all 4 of these in a single lesson. I'm sure you guys are tired.
No, actually, we're not too bad. We're only about an hour and a half in.
Oh, really? Okay, cool.
Hour and 25 minutes.
Oh, then it's exactly what I called it.
Yeah, it is.
I said to John, it's going to be an hour or 2 hours. I like, that's like when you're, calling puppies and you'll be like, there'll be girl puppies and there'll be boy puppies. We're so psychic. So, kind of like that, but all right, we need some more focal trees. So I'm going to take my purple here and I'm going to get some of my red into it. But I still want it to be kind of a very dark focal color. You see how that is? This is a dark forward-facing tree. But it's going to feel a little different than the ones behind it. And we're going to make a couple like surprise trees. So I need, I think, one coming up through here. Get as much of the paint as you need. This one tree is going to have a lot of focus. It's going to come kind of off to the right. Just working that out. And I'm just making sure that my trunk has a nice line to it. If I need to, I'll get right into my blue, which will cool this out, and I can come in here and darken some of this trunk. Playing with the color. Get that in there. Get a little of that blue in. Okay, let's do some more of these, just a couple. I'm going to put one right in front of here. It kind of goes over this one in the background. But what we want is ones that we can highlight and showcase. I'm just making sure that they're not just a big bunch of visual lumps. And to really, really get these, I'll have to like highlight the heck out of them. So I'm going to dry this real fast so I can get those highlights on there, and then I'm going to put it.
Okay. Dry, 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 dry. So you've heard me say all the things about the drying, right? Don't use heat, keep it chill, all that kind of stuff. So, wow. I don't have much to say about drying anymore. I don't have much to say about the drying anymore.
You don't? We've said it all?
I think I've said it all this episode.
You're like, I've said it all.
All the things that you need to know about drying.
I'm mixing the Cad Red Medium and the quinacridone. I'm going to add some white to it. You might even grab a little of the yellow because you want it to really pop off the tree. And I'm going to come along the tree. Even lighter. A lot of white. A little yellow. I'm just trying to create that bright halo that each of the trees has.
Oh, yeah.
Because the trees all have a halo. Dip in the water, thin it out, dip in the water, thin it out, roll, rolling, get on the tip of the brush. There we go. Maybe you add a little bit of that there. Pull some of this right here. Catching these highlights is probably one of the more challenging parts of this painting. And if you get a little thick like I did there, you can always literally come back with some purple and thin it out. See how I've done? So we have those trees sort of like that mishmash of trees happening. I think everything's dry enough to do the next layer, which is going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to be fan-centric. Are we fantabulous?
I am really enjoying it.
So for this, I would definitely say, get into your cad reds, get into your cad yellows, your quinacridones. I'm getting this next bright mix. You can see I'm working this through. And again, on the edge. Pull this in. Okay. Work that out there. Making this, I'm trying to make sure that what's happening in my foliage isn't even, isn't too predictable. So you can see I come out further, I'm working back. And again, working the tip, just the tip of the fan, not going up, not going down. We save that for pines. In the typical way that Bob introduced us to a fan is when we start worrying about the direction, or we save it for waterfalls. Get a little quinacridone when I'm working it. So like I said, this is a two-hoot, not because there isn't a lot going on or there isn't layers or levels, but the reason I feel like it's sort of beginner friendly is that we're using these techniques. Which make it more accessible. So once we have that in, which you can admit is pretty spectacular.
Yes.
Get right into your cad yellow with your brush. A little of your red, but mostly in your cad yellow. And make sure that you get a couple little leaf spots. Not everywhere. Just a few. Because as you can see, you want those highlights. Rinsing out. Last painting. Can you all believe it?
Oh, wow. We're getting there.
We're getting there. We're super de-duper getting there. Now, don't have a heart attack for my own visual mental well-being. Well, no, I think I'm actually good. I'm going to do this. I'm going to take, is this purple? Yes, purple. I really want the black. I'm going to load up with some black. I'm sure I'm going to need more. Black. And I'm going to get into my green. This is very dark. If I need to, I can even get into the blue. I want to make this very dark and deep. Now I want these to sort of curve up, and so I'm going to alternate between straight and where I feel like they might be sort of upward. So when I want them to curve up, I'll have the handle up. When I want to fill in straight with sort of like forward-facing leaves, I'll have the handle in. You guys see how that's sort of happening?
Yeah.
paint. And if I need to, I'm going to make sure that there's more of the black out, which I put where? Where did I put it? I see my tubes, and I don't see that tube. That makes no sense at all. I see every color but that color. I literally do see every
all the
color but that color.
colors of the colors, but the color that you're looking for.
All the colors but the color that I'm looking for. And
that's...
I'm literally about to put out some fluid paint because I'm so irked. Okay, so you guys are going to get to see what happened. I sometimes lose a tube of paint.
It happens.
They literally, there's a gremlin in my studio that grabs my paint. Nope, that's purple. This is impossible. It was literally just here. This is, okay, fine. I'm going to use this fluid black.
You use that fluid black.
I'm going to just use that because I need some black.
You got it.
All right. It's not going to hurt my painting at this stage, so it's fine. I just need that dark, dark, dark. Dark, dark, dark. Where I need to fill it in, I'm in straight. Where I need it to curve up, I will move up. And you can see what I mean. Like, a lot of those branches are covered up. But what we're doing is just making sure that there's maybe that little bit showing through. Come here a little bit heavier between these two spaces. How's that looking? All right, so it's starting to be that sort of canopy. Well, look, I still have green. Where did the black go? Where did the black go? I don't know. Who's paint? I go buy a bunch more paint. And then of course, the minute I buy a bunch more paint, the missing paint shows up.
It's true.
John's like been to the store for emergency purchases when he certainly has found himself having to deal with that. So you can see, like, I am alternating between the stroke I did for these trees and that sort of traditional pine stroke that you might get. This is my number 6. You could use the number 4 just as easily. I'm going to come here and just be like, oh, there's a little bit, like there's even a little bit that kind of comes from the side. So we just want to talk about that some. Oh my gosh, it's looking super good. Guys, we're almost done. I mean, I can't even tell you how close to. It's not that I'm excited to finish a painting because I enjoy painting, I do. But sometimes I look at a thing and I think, oh man, this is going to take 6 hours. What was I thinking? And then, you know, it comes together so beautifully like this. And I'm just like, wow. That was super duper exciting. Bring a little tree in from the side. Get all that going. Now, one of the things that I'm going to do to accentuate these trees that are above the bench a little bit is get some white into my gray mix. Now, I don't want it to be too green. I want it to actually be more gray. I'm going to pull some more of my black in there. So it has a hint of the green into it, but not too much. And a couple of these branches are going to pick a little highlight. See how we're just picking a couple little highlights?
Oh, it makes a big difference.
Like, it looked good dark, but you give a few of those branches just a little highlight. Before you ever put the snow on there, you're going to get this feeling, right? That you're really, really going to love. I know I do. Just don't paint out all your shadows. Try to imagine where the sunlight's hitting the top of these branches. That's what you're going to try to visualize in your head. I'm going to rinse this out really, really, really well. And I'm going to do a couple interesting things. I'm going to get my Scruffway brush, and I'm going to grab just some of my white paint that is not somehow contaminated. And I'm going to come here. And in the front, I'm going to just add this little bit of white highlight. You guys see that?
Oh, yeah.
All right, just this much. Not a lot, because it's snow. I don't want to get too crazy with it. Rinse it out. Now, my bench had these nice little brown boards. So we'll get a little of the black in there, but we want it to, you know, tone that sienna back because it's so bright, but we'll get some of the brown. And we're going to just help this bench find its shape. You guys see that? The bench is starting to sort of take its shape.
Yeah.
If I need to, I can always come back with some black and accentuate any of the slats that need accentuating. I can also come in and be like, oh no, there's got to be like a little bar there. Whatever the bench has got to have to feel benchy. If I need to get, you know, it pushed back, I can always grab a little bit of the and I'm just pushing that background color back in.
Now, normally you don't keep gloves on the entire time you're painting.
No, I just forgot to take them off.
But yeah, just when you're doing like, you were doing some
I
sponging.
was doing some sponging with Kat, and I always like to demonstrate the safety that you should be using in painting. Now, this piece will finish with, I feel like, snowfall. You could be happy where it is. I would not be. I would definitely want snowfall, so I'm going to grab my titanium white. If you're doing the whole bind, which I wholly recommend on the fluids, you want to shake them up. This is one of the few companies that puts a bead in there to make sure that the pigment that you paid for that settled to the bottom can be reincorporated through the polymer.
It's good to know.
Yeah. So I like to take, this is my splatter brush for my Galaxy set. You can see that any use at all starts to really make these not pretty, but the important part, the business end of the brush, right? And I'm going to move some things aside just for a second because y'all know how splatter is, right?
I certainly do. My cameras do.
And I don't want to get them all because this is the only one that's winter. And I'm going to just put some snow all over the painting. See little particulates, little flakes of snow. There. So now my snowy scene is snowing. Take my
Snowy
gloves off.
scene
Let's
is
look
snowy.
at the whole thing. I'm gonna sign them all like after. Maybe I'll sign them all across since we did them together. It's quite an accomplishment. Who's feeling accomplished?
I'm feeling accomplished. I just sat and watched. So I'm pretty impressed. That's pretty good. That's pretty awesome. So I just saw someone was just saying they were really impressed with your take on all four of those. It just scrolled by.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. I love what I do.
Yeah. No. It's just
And I'm
man,
so
we just
glad.
chat's kind of going there. So.
Chat's kind of going. It's like chat's got an opinion. I need to like recover all these detail
What
brushes.
was Debbie?
Huh?
Debbie
Hi,
said.
Debbie. Thank you, Debbie.
She's very impressed by your interpretation.
Now, in this particular case, I'm just going to go through, and I'm going to go ahead and sign each of these. But because there's 4 of them, right? Get into the dark brown here. I won't sign too big. If it was just hanging in my home not to be separated and they were always to be hung together, I don't know if I'd sign each one or just the last one and frame them together and mark them somehow on the back, like you can. I'm picking purple for right here because I feel like it will showcase well.
It does.
So there's that one. And I think I'll do a gray over here. It's darker than my snow, but not black, not white. Then John will take the camera and just peruse all over them. You guys can see them up close and then from far away. Oh my God, these are lovely. So we've signed all of them. I think I signed that one a little bit too big.
Oh no, I like it.
But it'll be all right. I don't like my signature to take away from the overall composition. Okay. So John's going to do the thing. What do you guys think? How did I do?
I think it's great.
Now,
this turned out really, really nice.
I'm excited to see how you do. So you can share your art with me. You can share it on the website. You can share it on Twitter. You can share it on Instagram. You can share it on Facebook. We have groups. I've got the TheArtSherpa official page. There's a bunch of places that you can share your art. If you need safe spaces that you know is beginner friendly, I would definitely recommend our closed group, the TheArtSherpa official, because you can come in there and put a painting up and know that everyone is going to be supportive, and I don't allow nobody to say nothing mean. I see it, it's gone. So we monitor that pretty close as all of our other safe spaces. I can't do it. This is a big idea that I had before I left, and then we went on this trip, and now I came back and we did it. So
Reddit would like to know, would you number them?
Would I number them?
To let like to people know, like 1 of 4, 2 of 4, 3 of 4, 4 of 4.
If I was selling this, I would definitely do that on the back here.
Gotcha. Good.
But I wouldn't date.
Yeah.
I wouldn't date. I would just say which one. And the reason I don't date is if you are selling your artwork, this is just for artists that are selling your artwork. The reason you wouldn't date your artwork if you're selling is because when there's a date, sometimes a painting doesn't sell in a couple of years. But there's a perception in the collection community that art has aged out, and you want your artwork to be timeless. So at the point that you're starting to sell all the time, I would skip dating. If you're a student and you just want to say, like, have a record of how you've grown, then it's appropriate to date. So That's what that means. Well, I'm really proud of this.
That's really good. That's really, really good.
I got the wiggles.
Everyone's saying thank you so much for taking the time to do this.
Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. And we want to see you, yes, you, at the Easel really soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.